Hi, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Ancient Warfare Answers, where we answer your questions about ancient warfare. Well, we try and answer your questions about ancient warfare. Then I am Murray Dahm, the assistant editor of Ancient Warfare magazine, and with me is Jasper Ortage, the editor. Now, don't forget, of course, you can follow us on Patreon if you would like to. You can go to patreon.com/Ancient Warfare Podcast and have a look at the special rewards that you can have. And of course, today we are answering some of the questions from our Patreon followers. The first of which Jasper is going to attempt to answer, which is, how did the Patreon Guard. Sorry, how did the
Patreon Guard? That's our Praetorians.
Yes, exactly. How did the Praetorian Guard become so powerful?
Right. I think we have to go back to the 1st century BC, and I think most of us know that this Praetorian Guard grew out of the headquarters guard of ancient Roman generals. But what you also have to realize is that, of course, the 1st century BC is full of civil wars in which the army decided who had the power in the Roman Empire. And when Augustus, or the future Augustus, finally won his last war at the Battle of Actium, then still Octavianus, and then he came to Rome and became the man with the power, he did his best to make it seem as if he was restoring the Republic with all the Republican institutions. And part of that was, well, probably pretending is a good way to say it, that he did not have all the military power, and that Rome and Italy were not occupied territories full of Roman soldiers. So, there's this the settlement, I think it was in 23 BC, where he says that all the remaining legions, because a lot of them are demobbed, because after Actium there are about 60, are sent to the various border provinces, and it's the border provinces that stay under his direct control, and the Senate has control of the rest. So, it looks like it's a nice division of powers, in which nothing too much has changed, but essentially, of course, it is. But that does mean that Italy itself is emptied of troops. There are no legions based in Italy. There are, of course, colonies of former soldiers of his adoptive father, Julius Caesar, former soldiers who fought for him in the Civil War in Italy and in provinces nearby. And that's helpful, but there are no active units in Italy itself, with 4 exceptions. The cohortes urbanae, the urban cohorts, are sort of a police force. They're sort of a paramilitary force, and they do play a role in some of the civil wars. There are the 2 fleets, one in Misenum and one in Ravenna, each of which has a manpower of about 10,000 men. At this time, probably not including Marines, but it's a difficult proposition that we can talk about some other time. But that's, it's a lot of manpower that's there. And then there's the Praetorian Guard. And the Praetorian Guard is based in Rome itself, or at least there's one active, or I think there's a duty cohort or a couple duty cohorts in Rome. And initially there is a camp just outside of Rome to really make it look like there is not a military force in Rome itself. But that inevitably means that the Praetorian Guard, it's the only military force that is based in the city itself, that is always there, and that guards the emperor. And they're close to the source of the power, and their control. So the Prefectus Praetorio, the commander of the Praetorian Guard, is a very high-ranking equestrian official, and his choice, is inevitably, that, like it always is for guardsman is an important choice for the emperor, because it is essentially in his power to, allow the emperor to live or die. If you look at it in a very sort of in a very cynical kind of way, it's very it's almost inevitable that in the various assassinations in imperial history, the imperial guard, certainly officers, perhaps also the high-ranking officers, had a role to play. So, and the emperors know this. We've probably heard of the donatives. The donatives, the donations of money, really, that the emperor starts out giving, or that a new emperor gives when he comes to power, and later on they sometimes give them on important occasions. They give money to the soldiery. They usually give more money to the common soldiers of the Praetorian Guard. So the emperors themselves show that they know that the Praetorian Guard is a very powerful organization, and it's confirmed, really, famously or notoriously, in AD 193, when the Praetorian Guard basically tries to auction off the emperor and the empire. They just say,
Well,
who wants to be emperor? Who has the highest bid? Come on.
Yeah. Well, even before with Claudius, they've sort of shown their ability to affect who gets to be chosen as the next emperor, haven't they?
Yeah. It's it starts very early in imperial history. You have the Sejanus, famously important in the politics of Tiberius' reign. Then there's the murder of Claudius, murder of Caligula, and then the Praetorian Guards sort of finds Claudius. And then the Year of the Four Emperors, in which the Praetorian Guard actually takes to the field. Plenty of examples.
Well, all the way through to 312, when, of course, they disbanded finally, which I think is another sign of how powerful they had become and how dangerous they'd become, and therefore the best solution for Constantine was to eliminate them entirely.
And Septimius Severus, of course, who, when he gets to Italy, disbands the extant Praetorian Guard and just replaces everyone with soldiers who are loyal to him from his army. So I think it's if you want to summarize it, it's a combination of their location. They are with the emperor, which always gives you more power if you're at the center of power, so therefore you have more power. And it's confirmed by the emperors themselves and by the actions of the Praetorian Guard. They make it clear that they cannot be ignored and they cannot be bypassed.
And the donatives, which get larger and larger and larger, of course, are the emperors recognizing that with the support of the Praetorian Guard, they might stay in power longer, and therefore they give them a larger and larger donative. So it's self-perpetuating.
It's the Roman Empire does not really have. It certainly doesn't have any modern kind of bureaucracy that really is like the wheels of power that do everything. The power is where the emperor is and where his secretaries are, who send out various missives throughout the empire. So if the emperor moves, then the power is wherever he is. But most of the time, of course, he is in Rome. So that it's still the Roman Empire is huge, and in certain ways decentralized.
I've just thought of two fabulous PhD topic titles: the Peeler of Power, and the Pens of Power for the all the scribes and messages. But no, the Peeler of Power. There you go. Anyone wanting to do a PhD on the Praetorian Guard, the Peeler of Power.
Some have been done recently, I think.
Probably, but not with that title. I'm pretty sure that's
No. That's now reserved and copyrighted.
absolutely. Credit us when you get your PhD. Well, there you go. That is how the Praetorian Guard became so powerful. Well done. That's a lifetime's work in 10 minutes.
There you go.